One of the games that I have spent a lot of money, I'm talking thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in back in the day, is Exos Heroes. And unfortunately, Exos Heroes is shutting down. In fact, you can see the posts, etc., from the subreddit here, where Exos Heroes is shutting down. And what's hilarious is you can see FG3000 there saying he just needs a moment because the man spent a lot of money on the game, as did I. In fact, I remember this was the game that originally made me realize you have to be careful when you're spending money in mobile games. I remember spending $800 in a day just trying to pull for one of the heroes off of their strings and not really realizing how expensive it was getting very quickly until it was all the way over. And I went back and kind of did the math and realized, wow, I just did a car payment on this. Now, this is a list of all of the games I've basically played either on this channel or on other channels, and there is one thing that all of these games have similar, and I'm not just talking about the ability to spend money in the game, although that is, to be fair, that is part of it. I'm, of course, speaking about the fact that all of them are temporary. All of them will be shut down at some point later on. These are online-only types of games, and it seems to me that sometimes people forget about this. I want to make the point that if you've spent thousands of dollars in games, or if you are considering spending money in games, you should be aware of the very obvious point that I'm sure you already know that sometimes people forget about, that the games can literally shut down at any time. And some of these games shut down sooner rather than later. In fact, some of these games only make it a handful of years. 2.5 years later, Marvel's Avengers is shutting down. In fact, you can go to this list right here. It will show you all of the mobile games that are shutting down. These online-only games shut down literally all of the time. It happens. And all of these games are going to have microtransactions completely within them. The reason I bring this topic up is over the years, I have continually seen comments that say things like, wow, I'm going to refund my money and sue them, or I'm going to, say that this is completely against, consumer protection rights. I'm going to go to the Better Business Bureau and all that. I've seen all of this copium from people that legitimately believe that they have case arguments for like huge class action lawsuits or whatever with these companies. But in the terms of service, no matter basically which game you play, you don't, and by the way, this is all the way back to games even like RuneScape. I mean, like years ago, none of these games do you actually own literally anything. When you're purchasing stuff and you're not really even leasing it, you don't really even have like leasers' rights or squatters' rights, renters' rights. You have like none of this type of stuff. The only thing you have is a game in which you are temporarily basically renting digital items that you don't own and do not have your rights to remotely. And I actually know this one extremely personally, because if you actually look here in the game, $5,000 on my channel, $5,000 spent on Exos Heroes. Was it worth it? And look how many of these videos we made. We were pretty committed to this game for a pretty long time. This was literally all I was making videos on, and $5,000 inside of the game is like a lot of money. And that money literally has zero value. It is gone. In fact, it is gone the second you put the money into the game. I also have seen people use this as an argument for NFTs inside of games, where they'll say that, hey, well, when your game shuts down, if you had $5,000 worth of NFTs, your NFTs are still on the blockchain. You can now transfer those to another game. My counterpoint to this, and by the way, if you don't know my stance on this stuff, I am against NFTs in gaming. I think it is people that are investors, non-gamers, money makers that are trying to make more money off of games. And I feel like gamers already get exploited as much as almost any demographic at the moment, which is unfortunate in gaming. I myself have fallen prey to this by exactly this types of video. So I don't believe in it. However, I have seen an argument where people are saying, look, well, if you owned all the assets in the game, when the game shuts down, you still own your assets. And my counter to that is two things. One, do you actually believe the gaming companies are going to sign up to have people export their in-game economies to other games? Do you think they're actually going to be okay with that, knowing the history of gaming companies? Number two, do you believe those assets are not going to depreciate the second that the assets that are associated with the game and the game turns off? You're telling me if you own $10,000 worth of NFTs or whatever inside of that game, and that game is going to go to zero because it's turning off, you think your NFTs are still going to hold the value on the market and everyone's going to say, I still want those NFTs from a dead fucking game? It doesn't actually make any sense to me. And so I would warn you, as somebody who feels fairly strongly against NFTs in games, do not fall prey to these types of logic. The hard truth of it is, if you spend money inside of games, microtransactions, game purchases, whatever, that money is gone. You will never get that money back unless you do a hard refund. And if you do a hard refund, you will be banned. Kitty wants to go outside, but the door is open. Stop meowing. So whenever you spend money in games, you should be considering it like a movie expense. You're not going to get your money back if you went and saw the Ant-Man and you didn't like it. You're not going to get your money back. You might complain to the guy selling popcorn for $8 an hour, but you ain't getting your money back, okay? It is long gone, my friends. You purchased entertainment and you didn't like the entertainment as much as you should have. So if you're asking my opinion, if you clicked on the video, you are. I'm Darth Microtransaction, and I'm telling you, when you spend money in these games, you're losing the money. So be careful with your expenses. And I myself have spent less and less money year over year over year. I spent a lot of money on YouTube when I was starting out and I was blowing up in the game. I got really into the mobile games and I've learned my lesson as time has gone on. I've saved my money more as time has gone on. And now I'm down to the point where I only basically spend what I have to in order to make the content that I need to make for whatever game I'm covering at the time. And I am of the opinion that most of the games I have played, like I would think almost all of the games, if I just go to my videos and I scroll through literally all of these games I've played, they're going to see a lot of raid stuff because I'm doing raid at the moment, but it doesn't matter. Basically, all of the games I've played within the last few years, they're all better played free to play. I literally believe that you get temporary dopamine from the microtransactions, but all of the games I have played have been better experience as games, okay? Not as min-maxing, not as competition, but just as basic games that you experience are all better played free to play, with some minor exceptions for things like monthly game passes. So, you know, subscription to RuneScape membership or something like that. But that's just one man's opinion. Save your money from the guy who's named Microtransaction.